Some stories don't begin with riches or fame. They begin with emptiness, hunger, and a stranger you were never meant to meet. My life changed on a cold evening when I crossed paths with a girl who had nothing, yet gave me everything. I had always believed love was about glittering gifts, diamond rings, and grand promises. I wasted money I didn't have on things I thought would keep love alive. But the truth? Love had slipped through my fingers long before I even realized it. My fiancée, who once swore she would never leave, had suddenly vanished from my life, and with her, the ring I had worked so hard to buy. For days, I couldn't understand why my chest felt so heavy, why my heart felt empty. Until one moment, in the most unexpected way, I found my answer. It happened when I noticed a girl sitting quietly on a park bench. Her clothes were worn, her hair uneven, as if cut in haste, and her eyes carried a weight far older than her years. She wasn't begging, she wasn't asking for sympathy. She simply existed, as though the world had stopped noticing her long ago. I might have walked past, but there was something about her. Maybe it was the way she looked at me, not with greed or expectation, but with a strange kind of understanding. In her hand, she held something small, wrapped in cloth. She opened it carefully, and my breath caught in my throat. It was a ring. My ring. At first, I thought she had stolen it. My anger rose, but before I could speak, she said something that silenced me completely. She told me she had sold her hair, her long, beautiful hair, for money, and with that money, she had bought the ring back. Not for herself, for me. She knew nothing about me, yet she gave up the only thing she had left of value, just so I wouldn't lose hope in love. Her words hit me harder than any betrayal ever had. How could someone with nothing give away so much? I wanted to repay her somehow. I offered to buy her dinner, to take her somewhere warm and safe, but she shook her head. She said people like her weren't welcomed in restaurants. She was used to eating crumbs, used to being invisible. My chest tightened as she spoke, and for the first time in years, I wanted to do something truly different. So I made a choice. If she wouldn't come to the restaurant, I would bring the restaurant to her. Right there, in the middle of the street, I ordered food, spread it out on the bench, and lit a candle I carried from the cafe. People stared, some laughed, others whispered, but I didn't care. For the first time, I felt alive. For the first time, I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was simply trying to make this girl feel human again. As she ate slowly, cautiously, I kept watching her. She had no home, no money, no family. But there was warmth in her smile that I hadn't seen in years. A light flickered inside me, and I realized something terrifying. I was starting to care. I was starting to fall for someone I barely knew. But just when I thought I had discovered something pure, something real, everything turned upside down. Because the girl who gave me the ring wasn't who I thought she was. And soon, I would discover a truth so sharp, it would cut through everything I believed about love, trust, and sacrifice. The girl's name was Alina. I didn't know much about her, only fragments of a life that seemed stitched together with pain and survival. She told me she had been living on the streets for years, drifting from place to place, carrying nothing but memories and scars. At first, I thought she was exaggerating. People often build stories to protect themselves. But when she spoke, there was no performance in her voice, only raw truth. That night, as we sat on the park bench, she confessed something that silenced me. She had given away her most precious possession, her hair, thick and beautiful, just to buy me back the ring I thought was lost forever. I remember staring at her uneven locks, imagining the courage it must have taken to walk into a shop and trade away a part of herself. And for what? For me, a stranger. I should have felt grateful. I should have felt blessed. But deep inside, something unsettled me. Why would someone who owed me nothing make such a sacrifice? Was it pity? Was it a trick? Or was it truly selfless love, the kind I had never known before? The more I thought about it, the more I realized I couldn't walk away. I told her I wanted to help, that I could give her a new beginning. At first, she resisted. People like me don't get new beginnings, she said with a bitter smile. But there was a flicker in her eyes, a quiet hope she couldn't hide. So I did what felt right. I offered her my jacket to keep her warm. I gave her food to fill her stomach, and I promised her something no one had ever promised before. A chance to be seen, a chance to matter. But the truth was, I needed her just as much as she needed me. For years, I had been blinded by shallow love. pouring my heart and money into someone who never truly cared. My ex-fiancée had been beautiful, charming, and calculating. She had used me until I had nothing left, then walked away with the only proof of my devotion, the ring. I thought I had lost it forever, until Alina appeared, like fate's strange messenger, holding it in her fragile hands. As days passed, we grew closer. I found myself seeking her out, bringing her meals, sitting with her for hours just to listen. She told me about the nights she slept under bridges, about the hunger that gnawed at her bones, about the cruelty of strangers who treated her like she was invisible. Yet through it all, she had never stopped believing in something better. That belief, fragile as it was, made me admire her more than anyone I had ever known. But life has a way of testing hearts, and mine was about to be tested in ways I could never imagine. One evening, I brought her to a quiet cafe. She hesitated at the door, embarrassed by her worn clothes and unkempt appearance. People inside turned to look, their expressions ranging from pity to disgust. I wanted to take her hand, to shield her from their stares, but she pulled away. "I don't belong here," she whispered. Before I could reassure her, a voice cut through the air. It was sharp, familiar, and cold. My ex-fiancée. She stood a few feet away, her eyes fixed not on me, but on Alina. Her lips curved into a cruel smile as she said words that made my blood run cold. "You don't know who she really is, do you?" Confusion twisted inside me. My ex-fiancée stepped closer, her voice dripping with venom. She claimed Alina was not the selfless girl I believed her to be, but someone hired to deceive me. She told me that Alina had a history of tricking men, making them fall in love, and then stealing from them. According to her, Alina wasn't a victim. She was a thief, a liar, and the ring in her hand was never meant to be mine. My chest tightened as I turned to look at Alina. She didn't deny it. Tears welled in her eyes. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. And in that silence, doubt sank its claws into my heart. Was I truly falling in love with an angel, or was I being destroyed by a clever lie? I wanted to believe her, to believe the warmth I had seen in her eyes wasn't an illusion. But the weight of betrayal from my past pressed down on me, whispering that maybe, just maybe, history was repeating itself. Alina finally spoke, her voice trembling. She admitted she had once done things she wasn't proud of. She confessed she had lured men before, kissed them, distracted them, and stolen their rings, because survival left her no choice. But then, she looked at me with a broken honesty I couldn't ignore. "With you," she said, something changed. I couldn't go through with it anymore. Her words left me torn in half. Part of me wanted to run, to protect my heart from yet another wound. But another part, the part that had seen her sacrifice, wanted desperately to believe that she was different with me. That night, I walked away without giving her an answer. My heart was drowning in doubt, and yet, even in that storm of uncertainty, one thought haunted me. What if she truly loved me? And what if, by doubting her, I was about to lose the only person who ever truly did? Sleep did not come easily that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment I had spent with Alina. Her smile, her trembling hands when she handed me the ring, her refusal to enter the restaurant because she feared judgment. Were those the actions of a liar? Or had my ex-fiancée's poisonous words planted a shadow that was now suffocating the light inside me? I tried to remind myself that people change, that even if Alina had once done terrible things to survive, it didn't erase the sacrifice she had made for me. She had cut her hair, the only beauty she had left, just to return something I had lost. No thief would do that, I told myself. And yet, the doubt gnawed at me, whispering that maybe it was all part of the act. The next morning, I decided to confront her. I found her sitting on the same park bench, her head bent, her hands wrapped tightly around the ring as if it were her only anchor. She looked up when she saw me, her eyes filled with both hope and fear. "I know what she told you," Alina said softly before I could even speak. "And she's right about one thing. I did those things before. I kissed strangers, I distracted them, I stole their rings. Not because I wanted to, but because I was desperate to eat, desperate to live. But when I met you, something inside me broke. I couldn't go through with it anymore. For the first time, I wanted to be honest. I wanted to give instead of take." Her confession struck me like lightning. I could see the shame in her eyes, the way she hated the person she had been. She wasn't defending herself with lies. She was showing me her scars. But honesty didn't make my decision easier. Could I trust someone who admitted to betraying others? Could love grow in soil watered with lies and regrets? I didn't answer her right away. Instead, I told her to come with me. If I was ever going to know the truth, I needed to see who Alina really was when the world wasn't watching. I brought her to a small charity shelter I knew, a place where volunteers handed out food and clothing to those in need. At first, she hesitated, embarrassed to be seen among people who shared her struggles. But then something unexpected happened. As soon as she stepped inside, others recognized her. Children ran to her, smiling, tugging at her worn sleeves. An old woman hugged her, whispering blessings. I stood frozen, watching. This wasn't the reaction someone would get if they were nothing but a thief. One of the volunteers approached me quietly. He told me that Alina often helped here whenever she could, even when she had nothing to give. Sometimes, she shared her own meal with the children. Other times, she helped the elderly find blankets or carried water for those who couldn't. She might have had a past filled with mistakes, but here, she was remembered for her kindness. Something shifted inside me then. The girl I had doubted, the girl my ex-fiancé had tried to destroy in my eyes, was not just a thief. She was a survivor. And more than that, she was someone capable of love. But just as I felt my heart moving toward her again, life took another cruel turn. As we left the shelter, two men in uniforms approached us. Their eyes were stern, their hands already reaching for her. "You're under arrest," one of them declared. Alina froze, her face pale. "What for?" I demanded, stepping in front of her. They explained she was accused of stealing a diamond ring, a ring that matched the description of the one she had given me. My blood ran cold. I wanted to shout that it wasn't true, that she had sacrificed everything to return it to me, but the officers didn't care about my words. They had evidence, they said. A complaint had been filed, and it came from none other than my ex-fiancé. Alina's hands shook as they tried to place cuffs on her. She turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Please," she whispered, "you have to believe me. I didn't steal it. Not this time. Not from you." I felt the ground disappear beneath my feet. In that moment, I had to choose. Believe the woman who had broken my heart before, or believe the girl whose past was painted with mistakes, but whose present seemed filled with sacrifice. My decision would change everything. And as the officers pulled her away, Alina's eyes locked on mine, begging me for faith. Would I stand by her? Or would I let doubt steal her away forever? They dragged Alina away as if she were a criminal, her fragile body trembling under the cold grip of the officers. My chest burned with helplessness. I wanted to shout, to fight, to demand they let her go, but their words echoed in my mind. She stole a ring. There's evidence. There's a complaint. And worse, that complaint came from the one person who knew exactly how to twist the knife, my ex-fiancé. I followed them to the station, unable to abandon Alina. She sat in a corner, her wrists bound, her eyes hollow. But when she looked up and saw me, something flickered there. Not hope, not yet, but a plea. A silent cry for me not to give up on her. The officer explained that the ring she carried matched the description of a stolen piece belonging to a wealthy woman. That woman was none other than my ex. She had claimed it was hers, stolen during the time she and I were together. She even brought receipts, photographs, and witnesses who swore they had seen her wearing it. For a moment, I faltered. Could it be true? Could the ring really have been hers all along? If so, then Alina's sacrifice meant nothing. She hadn't given me back what was mine. She had handed me proof of her crime. But then I remembered the night she showed it to me. The way her voice broke as she explained she had sold her hair to buy it back for me. The trembling sincerity in her hands when she placed it in mine. No, that wasn't the act of a thief. That was the act of someone desperate to prove her worth. Still, evidence weighed heavily, and words meant little against it. I begged the officers for time, for a chance to prove the truth. They agreed, reluctantly, giving me 3 days before Alina would be formally charged. If I couldn't prove her innocence, she would be sentenced, and her life would unravel completely. Those 3 days became the heaviest of my life. I began searching for answers, retracing every step, every thread that connected me to the ring. And that's when I uncovered something unexpected. A jeweler, one I had visited weeks before, remembered me. He recalled the ring, the platinum band with the diamond stone. He remembered my excitement as I described it as a symbol of eternal love. He remembered the payment I made. He confirmed, without hesitation, that the ring had indeed been mine. Hope surged inside me like a rising tide. If I could bring this man to testify, Alina would be free. But life, as always, wasn't going to make it so simple. When I returned to the station to share what I had found, I learned that Alina had refused to eat. She sat silently in her cell, her spirit fading. She told one of the officers she deserved the punishment, that maybe this was fate punishing her for her past sins. She had stopped fighting for herself. My heart twisted at the thought. She was ready to give up, and if I didn't act fast, she would be swallowed by despair before I could save her. I visited her that evening. She wouldn't look at me at first, her head bowed in shame. "Maybe they're right," she whispered. "Maybe I don't deserve freedom. Maybe love was never meant for someone like me." Her words cut through me like glass. This wasn't just about proving her innocence. It was about proving to her that she was worthy of love, of life, of a future. I reached through the bars, my hand trembling as I touched hers. "Alina," I said softly, "this isn't your end. I will fight for you. I will prove the truth." She lifted her eyes, and for a moment, I saw the faint glimmer of hope return. But as I left that night, a shadow followed me. My ex-fiancée, waiting in the dark, her smile cold and sharp. "You'll never save her," she hissed. "She's guilty, and even if you clear her name, she'll ruin you. People like her don't change." Her words haunted me, but they also fueled the fire inside me. I would not let Alina be destroyed by lies. Hers, mine, or anyone else's. The next morning, I prepared to confront the woman who had orchestrated this trap. My ex thought she held all the cards, but she had underestimated one thing: my determination to protect the girl who had given everything when she had nothing. Yet deep down, one fear still lingered. What if, after everything, I proved Alina innocent, only to learn that my ex was right? What if Alina's love was just another illusion? The final day arrived, heavy with tension. If I couldn't prove Alina's innocence, she would be condemned, and her spirit, already fragile, would shatter completely. I had spent sleepless nights gathering every thread of truth, and now, it was time to weave them together. I arrived at the courthouse with the jeweler by my side. He carried his records, proof of my purchase, and his own clear memory of that day. To me, it felt like a lifeline. But as I entered the hall, I saw my ex-fiancée already waiting. She was dressed elegantly, her smile polished, her lies wrapped in confidence. She looked at me with the certainty of someone who believed she had already won. Alina was brought in, pale and thin, her wrists bound, but her head held higher than before. When our eyes met, I saw both fear and faith. She didn't know what would happen, but she was clinging to the possibility that I hadn't abandoned her. That fragile hope alone kept her standing. The case began with my ex-fiancée's testimony. She spoke with dramatic precision, describing how the ring had been hers, stolen by Alina. She even produced old photos of herself wearing it. To the court, her words painted a perfect picture: a wealthy woman robbed by a desperate thief. Murmurs filled the room, and for a moment, doubt returned like a shadow creeping into my heart. But then it was my turn. I stood before the judge and explained how I had purchased the ring myself, how it was meant as a symbol of eternal love. My voice trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of all that was at stake. I introduced the jeweler, who confirmed every detail: the purchase, the date, the payment. He even showed his records, signed with my name. The courtroom shifted. Murmurs changed from suspicion to surprise. My ex-fiancée's mask began to crack. Still, she tried to fight. She accused me of lying, of bribing the jeweler, of conspiring with Alina. But desperation makes lies weak, and her voice shook as she spoke. Then, something unexpected happened. A woman stepped forward from the back of the room. An older lady from the shelter, one of those who had hugged Alina so warmly. She testified that Alina had been helping there long before this case, giving what little she had to others. "A thief," she said firmly. "Maybe once, when hunger left her no choice. But not now. Not anymore. This girl has changed." Her words pierced the room like sunlight through storm clouds. For the first time, Alina lifted her head fully, her eyes shining with tears. The judge leaned back, considering all that had been said. Then, in a voice that made my heart pound, he delivered the verdict. Alina was innocent. The charges were dismissed. The ring was mine, not stolen, and the lies of my ex-fiancée had been exposed. Relief flooded me, so powerful it nearly brought me to my knees. Alina broke down in tears, her chains removed, her freedom returned. For a moment, the world around us disappeared. It was just her and me, two broken souls who had found each other in the most unlikely way. But the story didn't end there. As we stepped outside, Alina stopped and looked at me with trembling lips. "Why?" she whispered. "Why fight for me when I told you the truth about my past? You could have walked away." I took her hands in mine. "Because love isn't about perfection, Alina. It's about sacrifice. You gave me the only thing you had left, even when you had nothing. That was more than anyone else ever gave me." Her tears fell freely then, but they weren't tears of despair. They were tears of release, of hope reborn. For the first time, she believed she deserved to be loved. My ex-fiancée disappeared from our lives after that day, her lies collapsing under their own weight. As for me and Alina, our journey was just beginning. It wasn't an easy one. We still faced whispers, judgments, and the scars of our pasts. But for the first time, I didn't feel alone. For the first time, I believed love wasn't something you bought with diamonds, but something you earned with faith, sacrifice, and truth. Looking back, I realized fate works in strange ways. Sometimes it takes losing everything to see what really matters. Sometimes love doesn't come dressed in beauty or wealth. It comes as a homeless girl with uneven hair, carrying a stolen ring that was never stolen at all, but returned at the cost of everything she had. And sometimes, just sometimes, the person you were meant to find arrives not when you're ready, but when you're broken. So you can learn that true love isn't about what you have, but about what you're willing to give. Alina gave me her heart when she had nothing. I gave her mine when I had nothing left to lose. Together, we built something worth more than any diamond ring could ever symbolize. This was not the story of a thief and her victim. It was the story of two souls saving each other. And it all began the day I realized the truth. The richest love often comes from the poorest of places.